My name is David Tetoy. I am a sergeant in the Rhino task team. We're a special forces group within the ProTrack anti-poaching group. ProTrack is the oldest privatized anti-poaching organization in South Africa. We're kind of a paramilitary group. We have a very tough paramilitary training and selection that lasts about 6 weeks, and we use canines for tracking and for apprehending, but also for safeguarding properties. Canines excel at certain tasks which humans struggle with. These are our kennels.
This one is called Arrow. He can detect guns. And this one is called Gizmo. He is a tracking dog.
Jump.
And then this is my dog. He's called Rockstar. He is an attack dog, which means he's used to apprehend suspects. He's also a tracking dog. We've definitely been through some wild adventures together, including being stalked by a pride of lions and a few other hectic encounters. Today, Rockstar and myself are going to show you how to do a basic tracking exercise. This will get you started with your canine.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a track. We're going to leave the dog in the car and we're going to create a small track. So we mark the spot where we start, nice and clear mark. We don't want to get confused later. I like to draw a little arrow with my shoes. Nice clear track, and we're going to head up somewhere through there.
The second thing we're going to do is we're going to take a treat. Something like French bologna will work. I know it's not the most balanced for dogs. We'll only give the dog a very small amount. We're going to take that treat and we're going to cut out a little bit and then put it on the ground, and we're going to scrape our foot across it so that the sole of our shoe absorbs that smell. That smell, as you walk, as you continue to walk along the track, is going to be absorbed by the grass and the ground. And even though you can't see it or you won't be able to smell it, the canine will be able to. And that's going to force the canine, or it's going to help the canine to put his nose down. Because dogs can use both trailing and tracking. Trailing is when they work the air and they pick up the scent particles, or the particles of dead skin cells in the air. They work the scent cone, but we want them to put their nose down and to use tracking. And this will enable us to keep the dog's nose down because they're going to smell that treat on the ground. You will notice that I'm actually scraping my foot on the ground every now or so often. That's actually not for the dog, that's actually for the human, so that we can see that we're still on the right track. So while the dog is following that track, we'll be looking for track marks that we left, but we'll also be looking at the dog's reaction. By learning to read the dog, you'll know whether the dog is on track or off track. But when you're unsure, you can look for those little scrape marks that you left behind. So put these treats down when you're starting out. Every 10 meters or so, you'll scrape your foot on the treat, and then that will leave scent every now and so often. I leave a track mark when I'm starting out. That scrape mark, I leave it every 10 meters or so as well, just to make sure that you're still on track. Because even though I am an experienced tracker, when you're watching the dog's reaction, you tend to not have focus to watch for track marks of shoes or feet. Remember, when you're walking with the dog and the dog is starting to track, you want to keep the dog on the trail, because you want to reward the dog. You want to teach it, as long as it stays on the trail, it's doing the right thing. So when it goes off trail, you need to bring it back on trail, and you need to guide it and make sure that it stays on that trail all the way to the finish point, where it will get a reward. So it's important that you also know exactly where the track is running. That's why I'm marking with my shoes, so I can also be sure that I keep the dog on the correct track. If your dog is struggling to keep his head down and to stay on track, just increase the frequency of the polony drops. I recommend for your first time, this is already overkill. For your first time, start by just laying a track of about 30 meters long in a straight line. Once the dog gets that, keep doing that a few times, and then as the dog progresses, you can start doing what I'm doing a loop back to where we started. But I would say this is almost too much for the first time. For the first time, keep it simple, just a straight line. Reward the dog once it gets to the final destination. Now, it's nice if you can have somebody else lay the tracks for you, but you can do this yourself as well. The dog very quickly figures out to track you. Of course, once you progress to tracking other people, you have to start using other people to lay the tracks. The dog will get this after 2 or 3 attempts. It will figure out that the game has changed. The idea is to make it very simple initially and to always have the dog succeed. If it's too hard, make it easier. Make sure the dog succeeds. Okay, so at the end of the trail, the final point, we put on a nice big reward for the dog. So it learns every time it goes tracking, there's a huge reward. It gets nice praise, it gets a nice treat at the end. That's super important.
Okay, so basically what we did was we put some kind of a snack down on the ground. We stomp it into the ground and then we start tracking. We leave some very clear tracking marks. That's more for ourselves than it is for the dog. Stay boy. The dog initially may struggle with keeping his head down to the ground.
Every time we run this exercise, we will use a search command. In my case, it's sook. Over time, the dog will learn to put his nose down when you issue the command and start tracking.
Sit down. Sook. Now look at how the dog puts his nose down.
Once the dog lifts his head up, it means he's lost the scent trail on the ground. Notice that he's going to try to correct, and once he finds it, notice how he puts down and how he picks up speed. He starts pulling. He's back on the trail. You need to identify this as the handler and guide him. Look how he's lost it. He's looking for it. He lifts up his head. He's lost it on the ground. He's looking. He's doing a 360. He's coming back. He's looking for it. Once he finds it, his head goes down and he picks up speed and he starts pulling. He starts pulling on that leash. Only once he finds it. Wait for it. He's finding something. And now, boom, he's back on it. Look how he pulls. Look how down his nose is. It's down, flat on the ground. He's got it. Looking for it. Yeah, he's got it. He's flat on it. He's pulling. That's our mark on the ground we made earlier, so he's perfectly on track. And now he's going to find his end destination, and he knows at the end of it there's probably some kind of a treat or something. So look how he comes back. He's looking for that treat. He's looking for it. He's using his nose, and he's almost got it. And boom, he's got it. And now you have to reward him as well. You have to give him praise and make a big story out of it, so that he keeps motivated and driven. Remember, you want him to be super excited, so he wants to always do this to get his reward and be praised.
Yay, good boy.
You will repeat this with a treat for the first month or so, and then systematically you start removing the treat. You'll use it fewer times during the trial, and then you'll completely remove it. and the dog would have figured out what to do by then. He's simply going to track you without any treat on the ground. At the end of each track, you reward him big and you keep him excited. You can monitor him, and as he becomes more and more capable, you just make the track more and more complicated. Remember to never reward him if he's not doing the right job, and remember to always reward him very, very well if he's done a great job. Those are the golden rules. For us in anti-poaching, it's actually a little bit risky using this technique because the dogs can be poisoned by poachers.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something that you can use with your canine at home. The Rhino Task Team is exclusively donation funded. We've been protecting rhinos for the last 30 years or so. We're currently in dire need of a dog tracking collar for Rockstar. Now, Rockstar and other attack dogs, they're exclusively used in high volatile situations when shots have been fired at us or when we're operating during nighttime hours, going after adversaries by moonlight only. This is also when lions and leopards are most active, and they definitely prey on dogs. So letting a dog go off leash after shots have been fired, full of adrenaline, charging through a 35,000 hectare piece of wilderness, it is not the easiest of environments, and we definitely need to acquire a dog tracking collar for this canine. Any contribution would be massively appreciated, or if you know somebody that would sponsor us a unit, please share with them this video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic day.